And we're live, guys, here on the Wrestling Rewind, as my phone indicated, because I'm a professional. Uh, we have a lot to get through this week. This week, we have two cards to get through. Possibly one of the worst things I've ever seen, and TNA Wrestling had a show this week. So we're going to get into those. But before we get into it, Dave, how are you, sir?
It's a great day for wrestling, everybody. Welcome back to the only show hosted by people who actually like wrestling,
Believe it
except
or
for
not.
maybe today. Things might get a little
Yeah.
nitpicky today, I'm
Yeah,
afraid.
yeah, no. Today, see, this is why we go to the past, where we can actually
Yes.
enjoy it and enjoy good shows. Although I have to say, straight off the bat, Impact Wrestling had a much better show, in my opinion, and we will talk about it. But Dave, how are you doing? How are things getting on with you?
2020 keeps throwing me curveballs, but all in all, I think come 2021, I got some exciting things in store.
Nice.
But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I could get all geeky and explain some other things cool that happened, but I'm gonna save that for another show.
well, don't worry. There's other shows to do that on here on the network.
Exactly.
If you guys haven't subscribed, go over to Nerd to Know Media, Nerd to Know Media on YouTube, Nerd to Know Media on Twitch, Nerd Ducks on Twitch, Periscope, all that good stuff. You're able to find us. Please like and subscribe. Hit that bell, and also if you want to get the shows, they're on Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. So we are everywhere, and of course here on Phoenix 92.5 FM and the True Penny channel. So yeah.
Yeah,
That's
big
all.
shout out to Sheriff Lone Star and the True Penny channel and all those guys. You guys, a lot of fun talking to and getting to know on Twitter. It's really cool, the
It is really
interactions
cool.
that we've had so far. So I really appreciate this partnership.
It's weird, right? Because it seems like we pop the show over, and then like a ton of people listen to it. Guys, join us live. We stream now. We are going to go back to Tuesdays. We're going to be streaming on Tuesdays every week at 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. We had to sort it out, but that's when we're planning to do it. So come over and interact, because that's half the fun. If you don't want to do that, Twitter is a great way to do it. I'm actually monitoring the Twitter as we speak. And also, nerdtoknowmedia@gmail.com is where you can leave your thoughts, because, feedback is appreciated. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if somebody doesn't want to chat in our little chat, what is the Twitter handle that they can find us at? They can send you a question during
Well,
the show.
for right now, because we haven't changed it yet, the Twitter handle is still at WVI Desk. We will find something better for it, but at the moment it's still a legacy Twitter account. So, yeah, we need to come up
Tweet
with
us
a
your
little.
suggestions, guys.
Exactly. Right, so let's get to it. Okay, I want to get the bad out of the way first. So let's talk the horror show, Extreme Rules.
Aptly named.
Oh my
Aptly named.
Right, so going into it, I was like, okay, this is gonna be different. Um, I didn't. What I want to say, right? The wrestling was actually good. Like the actual in-ring stuff was really good.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed the tables match, like a lot. It was kind of short, but it
Yeah.
was a super good tables match. Um,
Anytime that they stack up two tables
oh yeah,
and use them to put people through, I mark out
yeah, it's just
as soon
fantastic.
as I see
It's
that.
it's super good, but
Yep.
everything just kind of, the endings made no sense, or they were just weird.
Mm.
And then it had possibly one of the worst things I've ever seen on WWE, which is saying a lot, as the main event.
Okay, so I'm not the only one because
Yeah, it
see, a
was.
lot of people don't know this, or I've kind of alluded to the fact that I try not to watch other wrestling commentators or YouTube personalities, writers, etc., because I want to make sure that I find my own opinion.
Mm,
And what really surprised me is because stuff just pops up in my notifications because of the kind of stuff we do, was how all these people were talking about how the swamp match saved the horror show Extreme Rules. And I
oh,
was like,
didn't.
did you watch what I watched?
Yeah. Like, look here, we're big proponents of these cinematic matches, but
Yes.
this was atrocious. This
It was
was like,
garbage.
it was not good. It was rambling mess. Now, I like the Alexa Bliss thing as Sister Abigail. I thought it was pretty
Yes,
fun.
that was cool.
Like, it had some cool moments in it, but Braun
The
Strowman
ending,
can't
though.
carry
Oh,
this. He's not
man.
John Cena. He's
Yep.
not the Undertaker, right?
He's not.
He's not Bray Wyatt, or he's not AJ Styles. Exactly. He's very one note as it is, and then you put him into somewhere where he has to actually act. Oh,
It was painful.
it was bad. It was.
And it was very clear that they were trying to do. Well, this was even more confusing. Is at first I thought, okay, what they're going for is we're going to do a boneyard match, but it's going to be in a swamp, and maybe we'll do some of those hardy compound things. Like, that was my thought process going into it. I didn't expect it to be a D horror movie with just terrible effects, which terrible effects was the theme of the night.
Yeah.
Terrible effects.
There's a reason for that, though. There's a reason for that.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in a second, but let's start at the beginning of the card and just try and just plow our way through this, because there was good I want to talk about, and I don't want people coming in and saying, "Guy, these people said they like wrestling. What's going on?" We do.
No,
there just happened to be another show this week where we like wrestling.
No, that's the thing. We did like wrestling. What we didn't like was when they moved away from wrestling and gave us something that was completely different. So look, Cesaro, Shinsuke Nakamura are your new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Had a great match with the New Day. Absolutely highlight of the card. Fantastic. Really, really good. Great way to start the show. They put on a great performance. I really liked it. It was a bit short, though. I would have liked it to go a little bit longer, but, it was what it was.
I was surprised they gave them titles.
Oh, I wasn't. Tables match is a really good way to protect them. If you're going to do a surprise swap, or if you're going to do something to change it up, a tables match is a great way to do it, because it's bad luck, right? It's bad luck or whatever. It's not as definitive as a pinfall, like you're going through a table. I
agree with that.
Yeah, I like,
and the strength that Cesaro showed by lifting up Kofi. Oh man, I don't know if anybody saw or has watched the Broken Skull sessions, but one of the previews that they do for it on the network is Steve Austin asking Mark Henry a bunch of questions like, "Who's the strongest? Who's like the easiest to lift you? Who works out the hardest? Who, all these who's the pound for pound strongest guy in the WWE?" That kind of thing. And his answer for nearly all of them was Cesaro.
Yeah, Cesaro.
Use him, man.
Man, he deserves so much more. But I think Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura are a really good team.
It's a team of two people who can't really talk that well together.
You don't have to.
They just work because their wrestling is amazing.
Exactly. Bayley versus Nikki Cross. Now, I was disappointed in this.
Me too.
It was for the Women's SmackDown Championship. I love heel Bayley with Sasha Banks. I think it's great. But I also love Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. So these are my 4 favorite women in the WWE, probably in wrestling. And the match was very poor. It wasn't poor because it was a bad match. The way they kind of ended it with the nook shot, and it's like they were buying for time. There's more something else.
It was the commentary was very odd about it too, like saying, "Oh, it wasn't that obvious." It was like they couldn't figure out exactly where they wanted to call this match either, which struck me as very peculiar.
What was weird about it is usually when they use the brass knucks, it's to the face, which makes sense. But they hit her in the ribs, and then it was like, I know they went for the finish, but it was like, brass knucks hurt, but it felt very flat. It felt extremely flat, and that was something that really hurt this card overall. Like, this is supposed to be an extreme pay-per-view, and nothing really extreme was done. Now, we're going to talk about the obvious in a minute, but as far as like,
this plays totally into the second match of the night, or not the second match, the second women's match of the night, because as soon as this had a screwy finish, I went, "Oh, okay. Now my hopes are gone for that being a straight up match. That's going to have a screwy finish." Yeah. And
all these matches were screwy finish. This was like a Vince Russo special.
It was. And I'm not a guy that believes that you should judge a match by its ending. I do believe that you need to take everything into consideration. However, when your entire match is building up to that ending and that's the story you're telling, then I think it can be defined by that ending.
There's 2 things. One, if there was a crowd here, a lot of this would probably be different.
Agreed.
And you can get away with some of it. But there's no crowd, so you're just left sitting there going, "What the hell was that?" Right? And
I miss crowds. It's smart. It's smart. But I'm saying when we go back and we watch stuff from the 2000s, 99, heck, even a year ago, it's just I'm starting to wear thin on how much wrestling I can tolerate. A motorcycle that goes by every time we do the show. That
that guy just shows up every week.
He does.
All the time. He just pops up. And no matter when we do it, we moved the show 3 times this week, and he's still here we go.
There.
He's still there.
But yeah, whatever I was just saying, I stand by.
Yeah, no, look, I agree with you. And this is one of the great things about doing this format where we can look back, because it's not in a world that's kind of ruined. But with this, it's like it kind of goes to to the belief that wrestling is important with its crowd. But when you look at this, it's like a lot of the bad stuff in this would have probably been patched over by having a crowd, but now it's just like, yeah, it's just poor. And this just shows it. Like MVP just declaring himself the US champion, interesting, but a Raw angle. And again,
it was a Raw angle, and I expected somebody to come out.
Anybody.
I was like, anybody
to come out, but it's just like
okay, can I fantasy book? We're allowed to fantasy book on this network, right?
We are, but 1 second before you go.
Okay,
So in AEW, they say why such and such isn't there once they get the virus, right? Apollo Crews gets the virus, and it's like, oh, he's hurt from an attack that happened 2 weeks ago. It's like, this makes no sense. This is dumb as hell. Sorry, go on.
Byron Saxton, to that point specifically, Byron Saxton looked absolutely like, not devastated, it's not the word I'm looking for, but he looked maybe humiliated that he had to lie and say that, oh, he got an injury, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I have to cover up for something that the company could have prevented. Allegedly, is what I'm saying.
Not even that, but like, just be honest with the people. Just be like, listen, we know what's going on. At least now people are wearing masks, thank God, in the crowd. And it's like, just say, hey, he got the virus. Sorry. Instead of
maybe they didn't want to be deplatformed.
Yeah, but like AEW, to their credit, are just like, yeah, look, it just is what it is. Like, people aren't stupid. Like, I think Vince really doesn't want people to believe that the virus is a part of the WWE universe, despite the fact that
the virus is not canon. Everybody,
it's not canon, despite the fact that they're wearing masks now, and there's like a handful of people, and it's just like, this is crazy. It's so ridiculous that just it blows your sense of disbelief, suspension of disbelief completely out of the water. Like,
it does.
But sorry, yeah, fantasy book away.
Fantasy book away. Okay, so they have to forfeit. Why not have the Intercontinental Champion come out and say?
You just want to see AJ Styles.
I do just want to see AJ Styles. Why not have AJ come out and say, no, you have to earn your titles around here, and they could do some kind of like back and forth with them, and they could do almost like some sort of, I don't know. That's as far as I fantasy booked was. I wanted to see AJ Styles on this card, and that was where I could shoehorn him in. I haven't thought it through. I'm not a booker for a reason.
Well, on that point, what they could have done is they could have AJ Styles come out and have a champion versus championship expedition match.
Okay, maybe that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like, if you can beat the Intercontinental Champion, then you get to become the U.S. champion.
Yeah, like that would be
would have been a cool concept.
Yeah, but again, here's the thing: if WWE, modern WWE, Brent has this saying. Actually, we came up with this theory. So, if something is fun and interesting, WWE won't do it. It can't be one fun and interesting. It has to be one or the other. So yeah, that's it. But
ooh, that felt good. I got like
you got the
10 years of shackles taken off of me where I wasn't able to fantasy book. That felt good for a moment.
I don't see a problem in fantasy booking, to be honest with you. It's not a crime. That should be a t-shirt. No, fantasy booking isn't a crime.
Fantasy booking isn't a crime. Somebody made. Oh, speaking of masks and merchandise, big announcement. I have ordered my AJ Styles face mask. I can't wait for it to come.
I have an N95 mask that I wear, and it's absolutely hell because you can't breathe with it.
No, they suck. I have to wear them for 6 to 8 hours every night.
Oh man!
They
suck. They suck so bad. It's like, this is,
And we don't even get the KN95s. My company's cheap. Yeah, that's right. I know you don't listen to this show. My company's cheap, and they just buy us those little cloth things to put on. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Once so much shine in, the fact that Monster 95 chimes in, the fact that an AJ Styles mask exists is simply amazing. So we have
maybe when it comes in the mail, maybe I'll wear it for a show,
or have it up beside you. Also,
yeah, I'll put it on like Drew. Where's Drew? Drew McIntyre.
Drew McIntyre's there. Yeah, he's over there.
Yeah. He's there somewhere. There's a great picture of Asuka down here too. By the way, if you're listening to the audio version and wondering what on earth is going on right now, you should check us out on YouTube or Twitch.
By the way, before we get into it though, Kairi Sane is gone from the WWE, and it makes me really sad because I love
Wait,
Kairi
what?
Sane.
I thought you just said they re-signed her and all this stuff. You were so
No,
happy.
no, no, she's gone. She's moving back to Japan because she got married recently, so she wants to hang out with her husband.
Oh,
And I'm like, all right, that's
fair
fair.
play.
But they didn't like beat her or write her off. They actually gave her a pretty good send off. But I'm sad because I love Kairi Sane. She's like she's next to Asuka. She's like my favorite. Like, you know.
Wait, a big anime head like you is really attached to the female wrestlers? I never would have guessed.
Well, she's like my probably my favorite female performer on the Raw roster. So it's like awesome. That sucks. But Asuka is a close second. So at least there's Asuka. But it just sucks, man. It's like, why are they Although look, fair play to her for getting married. She wants to go and spend time with her husband because she doesn't know if she'll be able to go back to Japan or anything like that. So I suppose you have to kind of do it in the climate. And WWE obviously are like happy enough, so I imagine she'd come back when all this blows over. I have to say, Becky Lynch as well probably made the right decision by getting out of Dodge and taking some time off.
Oh, I mean, trust me, this is not the time when you want to mess around with stuff like that. Like
not.
The future is more important than the present.
Definitely. But okay, speaking of Becky Lynch's husband, or they got married, yeah, didn't they? I think so. Seth Rollins and Rey Mysterio, right? So this was an eye for an eye match, and when I was watching it, I'm like, "There's no way this is what it means. It can't be what it means."
Oh, it was what it meant.
It was what it meant. So the only way you can win is for one competitor to extract the eye of the opponent.
If you watched the show and heard it last week, and you heard my great pontification about how this could be a changing of consciousness for the Messiah,
exactly what it says. Yeah.
Yep, it is. It was a horror show,
and it was the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life.
I am. This is no secret. I'm a huge deathmatch fan. I just bought finally my first wrestling show of this year. I'm going to be attending in a couple weeks. A 2-day deathmatch tournament that I can't wait to go to.
And we might have the organizer on the show too.
Yeah, let's promote things that we have. Well, actually, we have kind of set in stone, but yeah, let's promote things we've only set into.
You have to book ahead. If you don't, this is what WWE don't do. That's why they're
you got to book ahead. Give the tease.
You have to let people know what's happening instead of just random stuff at the wall every week.
Well, I guess to that point, next week's show, we're going to be reviewing King of the Ring 1998. Yes. And Mr. V, my old co-host for 3 years, will be joining us. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Because that's the pay-per-view of the greatest lie ever told.
The greatest lie ever told. Yeah. I know we've covevered that match, we have not covered that match. And First Blood. But we haven't covered that match in context with the rest of the show. So I'm going to be curious to see how it feels. Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Besides, who doesn't want to keep talking about that match?
Yeah, exactly. Right, so eye for an eye match, right? So it was your straightforward. Okay, right. It's a blood feud. This is why it made no sense. It's a blood feud, and it starts off with them doing flips and holds. And it's like,
yeah, what?
This is, bring out a little screwdriver or something. Try to shiv him, because it's like, it just doesn't make any sense. It's like if you're doing this, wrestle towards that kind of style instead of just, hey, we're going to do a wrestling match and then we're going to work some spots in, which is what it felt like.
It was very paint by numbers.
It was very paint by numbers.
A very cool move though that I really enjoyed, and it was actually kind of ruined because they basically did the spot back to back, but it was Ray doing his slide out of the ring, and he turned that into almost like a Code Red power bomb into the barricade. I thought that was great. But then literally right before that, they had done a Hurricanrana into a power bomb into the barricade. And I was like, why aren't you mixing it up? It was just very oddly booked. And
it was a standard Rey Mysterio match. And I say that as in
with much respect.
Oh yeah. It's like, look, Rey's great, but it was very much your move, my move. And then we go to the finish. Breaking a kendo stick to poke someone's eye out.
That was cool.
But also, again, there's other ways to do it. So look,
I was looking for spoons. That's what I wanted to see.
I don't know why they didn't do that. That would have been cool. Spoon the eye out, So apparently what happened was Rey Mysterio would have won this match if he had re-signed. He didn't re-sign, so that's why Seth run. So they shot it earlier in the day, so it wasn't live, which makes sense. And apparently they shot a much more gory CGI filled thing where they actually pulled the eye out, which is why Seth Rollins got sick. But Vince
Yeah,
said no.
him throwing up bothered me more than seeing the fake eyeball.
Yeah, I was like, that's really. Also, it was kind of like, why is he so freaked out and Dominic isn't screaming his head off that his dad is blind now? Like, because we missing one eye, so it's like he seemed more upset about it than anyone else. You know, I don't know about you, but if you ever seen anyone get injured in that way, you're like, oh man, this should freak out.
Oh,
like,
it either puts you into an absolute freak out or absolute shock, and Dominic was in neither of those two.
He was just like, hey, I'm on TV. It's like,
yeah, he honest. And first of all, you're gonna send like just a referee down to help things out. Where the heck was the whole medical team?
Yeah, you know what they should have done? What they should have done is they should have had like a shot with like, and they would have done this in the Attitude Era because we've seen it, right? They would have had like, and we have the EMTs waiting backstage, shoot the ambulance. They don't actually have to be there, but just make it feel real, and then be like, hey, look, just in case this is a serious match, blah blah blah. No, none of that. It was like none of that. And the way they did it, where it's like it was like a marble that popped out. It was just like, man, this is so lame.
And then not only that, this wasn't just WrestleMania. Shout out, great YouTube channel. This wasn't just WrestleMania. This was also, what was the point? Like, we knew it was probably going to be Ray because it's a lot easier to conceal something in a mask. But then no, it had nothing to do with that. They just over edited it. It was like watching who's that guy? A Michael Bay film. I couldn't follow any of the action. Also, it was just cut.
No blood. Yeah. No blood. It's like, listen, if someone hit, I don't know if you ever broken your nose or ever got hit in the nose or anything like that, or hit you.
No, I'm an upstanding citizen, Dara. I would never be engaged in such activities.
But stuff bleeds. If someone, I've never lost an eye, thank God, or seen anyone lose an eye, but that stuff would bleed like you wouldn't believe. Case in point, the ladder spot from a couple of years ago, where and it's just piss blood.
That was Joey Mercury. That was Matt Hardy's idea, and it's one of the reasons that to this day, Paul London. Oh my gosh, I'm plugging all my favorite wrestlers. That Paul London has no respect for Matt Hardy because everybody in that match went to the hospital, including Jeff, at some point to check in on Joey Mercury, except for Matt Hardy.
Wow.
So there you go. Sorry guys, but those are the facts. Hashtag facts.
But that's kind of it. It was a very disappointing 18-minute match that had some good spots in it. But what they should have done is they should have just done anything else. It's like a loser leaves down.
That's a great. Just, what they should have done is literally anything else.
Literally anything else. Just don't promise something. It's all about expectation, guys. If you set an expectation, you better deliver on it, or you're gonna be upset. And that's the problem. You promised blood here, you didn't deliver it. Like, it's just it's that's why people are upset. Like, it's not rocket science.
And then Charlie in the back is quickly saying, "Well, the ocular nerve is still attached. He's going to be fine." Well, then what was the point?
And the reason they did that was in case he comes back. So when he shows up, they're not like, "What happened?" Although to be fair, it's WWE. They'd probably just be like, "Oh,
But they could give him a Drago style mask instead, where the eyes are covered. Well, no. I think that's him. Or like the eyes are covered, or like a Sin Cara style.
No, because then it's like, how is he seeing?
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was this great series called Daredevil.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know, man. It was dumb. WWE, I don't know what drugs they were doing, but can I have
you know what it did do? And I got to say this. It made people who don't pay attention to wrestling see something pop up in their news feed. This actually did make mainstream news because I got a text.
No way.
I did. Yeah, I got a text from my girlfriend who was like, "Is this what you're watching right now?" And I was like, "Yeah, but this isn't what I'm. This isn't. Don't judge us by this, man. Like, I swear to you, this is not what wrestling is like." No. By the way, I'm going to a deathmatch tournament in a couple weeks.
I'm so jealous. So jealous. But okay, so then we had a screwy finish with Asuka and Sasha Banks. We had another screwy finish with Drew McIntyre.
Good match, though.
It was a good match. That's the worst part. It was a great match, but it was so screwy. Drew McIntyre and Dolph Ziggler started off as a screwy finish and continued that way, where the Extreme... So Ziggler could do whatever he wanted, but Drew... It was a singles match. It's like, what's the point? Like, what is the point,
Gotta be honest, I skipped this match. I'm not even gonna pretend I watched it.
You missed nothing. It was no consequence. And then Bray Wyatt versus Braun Strowman. As we said, the worst thing that I've seen in wrestling in about a decade.
So, what are we to believe that for those of us or those of you like aren't aware, they did this at the Quiet Compound and they tried to incorporate different. I don't even care enough to explain it. It was crap. Don't watch it.
It was
I like
garbage. It was
literally
garbage.
don't go watch it. But
Absolute
so like the
garbage.
ending, what were we supposed to assume that he got thrown into a swamp and torn up by alligators?
From my understanding of it, it's that good Bray Wyatt is gone. Either World's Bray Wyatt is back, but the Fiend is taken over, and that's basically it.
So does this mean no more Funhouse?
I think so. Yeah. I don't know. It makes no
Whatever.
sense.
I
Like
don't
it's
know.
just it's
Okay.
they've completely lost the wheel. But look, the show gets a D minus solely for the tables match.
This is the worst lockdown pay per view that this company has had by
I say
far.
it's one of the worst pay per views they've ever had. Full stop. It's
I, it's hard to
terrible.
judge without an audience. I don't know. Maybe
Oh,
it
dude,
just
it's
could have been
terrible.
better, but
No, it's terrible. Like I feel bad because everyone in there put on a great match. It's just the finishes. It's the TNA problem. It's like, oh, let's do some great matches and absolutely ruin it in the last 2 minutes. And
yeah, they did that.
and
Yeah.
that's what took down TNA. So,
But apparently they're kind of back.
yeah. Well, look, and that's kind of transitioning to the next part of the show, which is Slammiversary, right? So we went in completely blind, and not like Rey Mysterio blind, like actually blind. Like we didn't know what was going on. Yeah. So this is TNA's biggest show of the year. I'm just gonna call them TNA, right? It's just deal with it. They are Impact Wrestling, but
Yeah, why
so
not? Just make yourself
they
Moose. Just call it
yeah
TNA.
they literally okay. Hold on, we'll get to that. But right, so yeah, like this is their second biggest show of the year. Bound for Glory obviously being their biggest show, right?
Yeah.
We went in completely blind because TNA kind of just been, ever since they kind of resurged to being like the third brand in wrestling, they're there, but they've been kind of quiet. Now they reached out to me directly for the press release, which is how I knew the show was going on and why I wanted to cover it when I found out what was going on, because it actually looked pretty interesting, and not like in a whole like it's in an ironic sense. It's in like it's actually quite interesting for what they did. Now there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, and I want to cover it fair in the 20 minutes that we have left. So the good was excellent matches, some really good surprises. I thought they used all the talent really well. Some very very fun little matches. Like the main event was really really good. I really enjoyed the opener with the machine guns. Absolutely marked out for them because I love the Motor City Machine Guns, like always have. I know Gary was the same. He actually was talking to him today about it, and yeah,
Yeah, they're real cool people.
yeah, really cool. One of my favorite tag teams of all time. The bad.
Oh, the bad.
This has a lot of things that they've done before, and if they're listening, please God, just listen. Bringing in fired WWE guys is not the way to go. And what I mean by that is, I know a lot of them were ex-TNA guys. That's fine, but relying on the fact that you were fired by WWE does absolutely nothing for you. It just makes you look low rent in Bush League. Do not do it. And they really did it in this show. There was a picture, and even afterwards there was a picture of them posing, and it's like, lads, please stop. This is really going to go bad for you. And that would be my main takeaway on this. Is like, we're now repeating this cycle where ex-WWE guys come in, they go off on why they were fired, and don't focus. All the rebuilding that they've done to get to a really strong product can be undermined by this very easily. It's a very dangerous road to go. Some other bad. Tommy Dreamer needs to stop wrestling matches on this card. It's just like, poor Tommy, man.
He's one of the honestly, he is one of the greatest wrestlers ever.
I love Tommy Dreamer. I do. Right?
He really is.
He's great, and I know you've met him a bunch of times, which I'm super jealous of. I never got a chance to interview him, which I wish I did. But it's just he needs to stop. Like, he just anytime he shows up, the gimmick of I'm ECW, fair, but it's been run into the ground at this point, and I don't think he was the guy to come out and do this TNA thing. TNA heavyweight. It should have been like Raven. Raven would have made more sense. AJ Styles obviously would have made more sense, but he's off in WWE.
Yeah, how many times, by the way, because we were talking about like current WWE or recently fired, how many times did they feel the need to mention AJ Styles throughout the night? Like, seriously, guys?
They mentioned him an awful lot, which again, it's just like, whoever. One of the great things about Impact Wrestling is they moved away from that, focusing on the WWE, because they now are like the third brand, which is a really nice spot for them to be in, because it sets the expectation, it delivers, and they're able to actually pump out some pretty good content without that comparison between WWE, which is just never good for them, because they're not WWE, which is why you watch them, right? But they need to stop doing that. Whoever's pushing that, please stop, because that's only going to go one way, and it nearly killed the company 3 or 4 times. So that's my big fear now. My takeaway from this is, oh, here we go again. We're right back to. It's like it's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. It's like they build this great product, bring in loads of WWE stars, lose sight of what they are, and then it falls to shit. And then they have to rebuild again. And it's like, why are you doing this? Dixie Carter, Vince Russo, Jeff Jarrett. It's been blamed to everybody. Again, this is what I've said. With Impact Wrestling TNA, you can change the name all you want, but that mentality needs to stop. And it's obviously not with any of those people mentioned. It's just the mentality inside the company for some reason. So I don't know where it's coming from.
I don't have a clue. It's the whole thing baffles me, and I just this was a Ring of Honor-esque show, I would say.
Yeah, that, but I think that's a really nice feel. Like I love the way they shot it. I love the presentation of it. It wasn't too high production, but it wasn't too low. It was a really nice. It was like Ring of Honor. It was like a high production ECW show, where AEW feels like WCW. That's kind of what it feels like. The matches were really good. I thought the opener was phenomenal. One of the match of the month for me actually was the Guns. Is that you with Chris Sabin?
Oh no, there's some Alex Shelley for you.
Alex Shelley. Also really jealous at the same time.
I do have one with Chris Sabin as well, but we're on Slammiversary now. I had to switch my pick.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Yeah,
I just wanted people to see what it was before I go and block it and make it completely nonsensical.
Well, no, if you move over a little bit, it's like he's there with you. It's like we have him on the podcast.
Wait, if I move over a little bit further, it's like I'm doing the show with myself. What's going on, guys? I'm really feeling good about our audio listeners this week.
And once someone chimes in, oh my gosh, it's Alex. Nice.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I have to say, I love their new look. Their new look was great. It was like a combination of what they did with Red Dragon and the Guns.
Yes.
Super good. Super good. See, but that's your future again. Like, ironically, it's, their past, but kind of working that style with the Rascals was really cool. Started off the show really, really well. Kind of brought it back to what people expected TNA to be. Moose, I think, is a really good performer. Again, Tommy pulled a good match out of him, but it can only go so far, and it did nothing for either one of them. I really liked Kylie Ray. I think she's great.
I'm glad you say that, because as you guys know, and we're going to need to go through and make a list at some point, because this is going to be like number 5 or number 6. David's Diva of the Week, and I'm only calling them Divas because the alliteration. She was my Diva of the Week.
Oh, good choice.
Absolutely.
She was so good.
Yes, and please understand that I use the word Diva because, A, that's what they called them when I grew up.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst excuse to use anything ever. Let me change that. A, because it's alliteration. It's Dave's Diva. Dave's Divas.
The 3Ds.
We had so far. We had Tori last week. We had I'm sure Alexa Bliss has been on there.
Well,
we had Casey Cat or something. Oh no, okay, yeah, I'm just saying.
Dave, you have your boys and then you have your divas, so it's fine. It's okay. It's okay. But no,
Boys
Kylie Ray
in the bag.
Kylie Ray was great. I'm glad she's the number 1 contender now. I think the match that she has for the Knockouts Championship. I hope they don't rush it. I hope they build up to it. So yeah, was what it was. I wasn't really taken by the X Division Championship match. It didn't really feel like an X Division title match. It just felt like a match that had guys in it.
Yeah. I mean, I like Willie Mack. This is the first time I ever saw Chris Bay. Obviously, they're very talented. They're just...
But you know what they should have done? They should have made a... They should have had a... Like, this is it. Like, by doing the TNA stuff and not having TNA elements in it, it's weird. So they should have had an Ultimate X match for this. Or a ladder match.
Oh, yeah.
Or
this would be a great time. Well, I don't know.
But this would be a great time for that. Yeah, it would be a great time for it. Because it's like... Yeah. One, you're bringing people back into this product who maybe haven't seen it before on the Fight app. And also, you're trying to kind of... What's the word I'm looking for? Fill in the gaps between what came before and what came now. And what's weird about the show is none of that... Like, it didn't feel like a TNA show, but kind of did, which was weird. But then they also really wanted it to be a TNA show. So, if I was booking this... an X Division match, it would have been a cage match, a ladder match, or an Ultimate X match, because that's what it should have been.
Now, was it this show or last show? I think it was WWE where they got to pick the stipulation for the match, and they said it came down to either a no rope barbed wire match. No, it either came down to a cell match or a something else, and they went with this, or the tables match. And it got so close that the winners got to decide. I want to call nonsense on that booking. That's the Extreme Rules I'm talking about.
Yeah, that was the I versus I match. That's how that happened.
No, I thought it was. I thought it was the table. All right, was it? I don't even know.
Yeah, but no, I don't know.
I'm glad we didn't do the news this week because I'm really out of touch.
Well, look, with all I'm saying is with the X Division Championship, it has a set expectation, and it's no limits. And this just felt like a match with guys doing moves, which, you know, is great for Impact, but not great for your second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Like, that's the problem. A lot of these shows, a lot of these matches were just matches. There was no real kind of stipulation to them, you know, which they really missed the boat on it.
But one thing I will say that I appreciate is all but one match was either for a championship or for the number one contendership.
Which I like.
So, it made that... Like, they had pay-per-view caliber. Like, there was, it wasn't just, here's Randy Orton versus Edge for the 1,000th time.
That's it, you know, and people say, oh, but the belts don't mean anything. It's like, no, they kind of do. Like, they add that kind of level of prestige to a match when you're trying to build that up to it as well. And I think every champion they have in Impact Wrestling actually carries the belt quite well. But anyway, I like the North versus Ken Shamrock and Sami Callihan. I actually really like Shamrock and Sami as a team. Which is great. Like, it wasn't the best match in the world, but it didn't have to be. It was a nice serviceable little cool down after the X Division match. The Knockouts Championship. What do you think about the Knockouts Championship?
This was from each show. There was one match that I skipped, and this was the one I skipped for this match.
You made a good choice.
I'm knocking it out of the park today.
You made a good choice. It wasn't.
Oh, that's another thing that I can promise you guys. Not firing shots, but Dara and I are not the kind of people who will say, oh, this sucked and I hated it, but have not actually watched it. Like, we will put our time in and watch the shows and then accurately review them with our own opinions and bias naturally. But if something comes up like this, I'm going to tell you guys, hey, I didn't watch this match, so I can't really give you an opinion on it. Because I feel like that honesty is kind of important rather than being like an armchair quarterback who went on Reddit and formed their opinion.
Oh, hey, shout out to Undisputed Productions in the chat. Hey, what's up?
Hey, that's Alex Shelley. Oh.
Extreme Rules was good. Wasn't a fan of the editing. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It really wasn't good. And the choices they made was ridiculous. What did you think of Eddie of the 5-way Impact Championship? Now, here's the thing. This should have been King of the Mountain, right? Just gonna say,
yes,
really should have been King of the Mountain. They really missed the boat on that. Like, it was weird. So this match kind of came about because Tessa Blanchard just disappeared, and they had a vacant championship, and then people kept getting injured. So our final lineup in this match was Eddie Edwards, Ace Austin, Trey, Rich Swann, and the returning Eric Young. Now again, Eric Young, ex-WWE guy, but not really. He's more of a TNA guy, so I'll let this one slide.
But what did you do to your back, Eric Young?
Okay, who even won the swap match? Nobody. Everybody lost.
Including everybody who paid to watch
everybody who paid to watch it. Everyone lost. Nobody won. It was a
no.
and if you look on Wikipedia, it's a non-contest.
Yeah, I think the Gators. I guess the Gators won.
Nobody won. Everyone
Nobody
had a bad
won.
time. Everybody had a bad time.
But yeah, this match, I gotta tell you, I thought it was going to be amazing. The talent in there is great. Eric Young, honestly, I don't know what you did to your back with those tattoos.
The mask is cool he comes out wearing, though.
That is cool. Because I didn't realize who it was at first. And I also realized I'm getting old because Eric Young, of all people, is starting to show age.
Yeah, that's scary, man. I remember when Eric Young was sprightly. He's not anymore. He is hella old.
No, yeah, old. My biggest complaint about this match is they made Ace... Okay. And I mean no disrespect by this because the kid's like, what, 23 years old? But Ace Austin, they made it out as if he was this tremendous... like world champion caliber talent, and honestly a lot of what he was doing was very indie paint by numbers move sets, and I was kind of disappointed in that. I wanted to see some, not that he didn't innovate, but I wanted to see a bit more of his character and persona come through, which aside from his hair, I'm not sure I got much of. I actually thought Trey stood out to me as a much more intriguing character and high flyer.
See, I think a lot of this was the structure of the match. They were really kind of going to build it around Eddie and really building him up as a deserving champion. Because he's the most established guy there. You know, it's like Undisputed Production pops in. I feel bad for EC3. WWE wasted him so much. Same with Eric Young. Yeah, 100%. And
don't worry, we got a vignette for him at the end. So.
Yeah, and they rarely execute talent as well. It depends. You know, I think the TNA guys that made the jump over, they either sunk or swam, and a lot of them were just lost. EC3 was lost from the moment he was called up. Should have stayed NXT, and the same with Eric Young. It's just like, I really like Sanity, but I think Eric Young is much better here in TNA. It's the right space for him. EC3, yeah, we got a vignette for him. We'll wait and see. I think AEW would have been better jump for him, but it is what it is.
I'm furious about the Good Brothers. I'm absolutely furious.
Okay, well, go on. That's where I wanted to jump to. So Eddie Edwards wins the match, and then the Good Brothers comes out. What do you think? It made no sense.
It made no sense at all. Why would they be friends with Eddie Edwards? I don't remember that from their history. Somebody in the comments, you can tell me about some crap that they did in Japan together that makes it awesome. Wow, I sound like an angry person today.
No, I think, you know, with the Good Brothers coming out, I'm like, there was no reason for this.
No.
You know? Yeah, look, Undisputed Productions, Impact was good. This show actually really kind of put faith back in the show. As we said, anything we're picking at now, they're just concerns that we have. So the show itself is quite decent. The only thing I was Cole and Styles did well. Yeah, that's fair. They were big before, exactly. Remember, like, those guys were they were like faces of their promotions beforehand. Styles was going to be a star no matter where he went. But with the Good Brothers, I think...
And apparently still an Impact, because they'll share replays of him all night long.
All night long.
Which is, to be fair, that's more than we got out of Extreme Rules, so maybe that's why I like Slammiversary more. I don't know.
Maybe. And look, you know,
Great to see Rich Swann back while you're trying to come up with that thought. Really great to see him and like showing off his talent.
I liked all the guys back. I thought for a match that they booked in a week where everybody pulled out, it was very good and very decent. It's just
I didn't like the color though. I was not a fan. It was too obvious. I don't know if because of there being no crowd. Like you literally saw it. I don't know that. I don't like to see people like gig in front of the.
Yeah.
No, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to actually see it done. I want it to be hidden.
Well, one thing on the production side of things, they had like no crowd there at all.
Right.
And it was shot in such a way that it was even more kind of off-putting than what WWE used to do. But with AEW, they've kind of done it better from the beginning. So maybe TNA take some pages out, or even pipe in crowd noise. I'd be okay with that. Keith Lee,
somebody's piping in money for you. Might as well pipe in some crowd noise.
Exactly. Keith, Undisputed Production pops in. I also hope WWE doesn't ruin Keith Lee. So much talent for his eyes. Oh yeah.
Oh no, he'll be fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. But
Keith Lee will be fine.
But it's still, you know, at the end of the day, I would say for anyone in that sense, unless you get released, and not like fake released, NXT is the place to stay.
It is. And like, what are we talking about, honestly, with these releases? Or I guarantee you, the Good Brothers didn't sign a year-long deal with TNA. They're probably doing a per diem appearance and could still end up in AEW.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to show up in AEW in a week or two, and then they got paid a bunch of money. And this is what I'm saying to you about what Impact need to be careful of. Don't just jump because they're former WWE guys and get screwed out of your money, because that's not, you know, at least lock them down for a decent contract. EC3 is going to be there. He's going to hang around for a while, probably. Obviously, Eric Young isn't gone anywhere. He's happy enough to be there. But, you know, a lot of these
I like Keith Slater there, too, actually.
Yeah,
that moment with him and Rhino is worth mentioning.
But here's the thing. With Heath Slater, Drew McIntyre did the same thing. I think going somewhere there, that's not the second, but the third, it's a good place for him to kind of hone his talent, build his skill, and then go back to WWE, which is what he's going to do. Unspewed Productions, thank you for chiming in. We're going to sign off now anyway, so thanks for sticking in the chat. Appreciate it.
We are. Can I say something super quickly?
Yeah, of course.
My least favorite, and I hate to go out on a bad note, but the absolute worst part of Slammiversary, and this kills me to say because I'm such a big fan of his, was Josh I can't even bring myself to say his name.
Matthews.
Josh Matthews. What were you doing? What is this new style of commentating where you sound... He shouts, but he sounds super bored at the same time, and he's stretching out words. Be you. Be the person that made me want to watch independent shows that you were commentating.
Look,
just for your voice. Like, that's how big of a fan I was.
I was the same. I like Josh Matthews. Got to interview him a bunch of times. Great guy, but oh my god, stop that. You know,
he's changed. Something weird has changed in him. I don't know what it is.
A lot of this Impact stuff, it seems like they're in this weird transitional period where they're still trying to find who they are,
which they've been in since 2007.
Well, no, it's to be fair, they did nearly die and then had to claw their way back up. So they're in a very good position now. They just got to be careful that they don't throw it all away, and then I finally have to finish that book that I've been threatening to write for 10 years. So, which I don't want to do, because that's a gargantuan task which I'm scared to write. So I'm pulling for TNA to stick around solely so I don't have to write the book about it. But yeah, that's it, guys. That's going.
Let me volunteer to be your editor, by the way. It happens to be a thing I can do. Fair.
Yeah. That I'm going to hold you to that. But yeah, guys,
please do.
That's going to.
I'll copyright out of that.
Fair. So, guys, that's going to do it for this edition of The Rewind. Next week, we have look back at King of the Ring 1998 with Mr. Anthony Valvo, Mr. V, formerly of WrestleView. And, yeah, we have a bunch of shows here on the network, so if you guys like, hit subscribe, hit the bell. We're everywhere. Thanks for everyone who's in the chat. Remember, guys, if you chat, we will read it out because we appreciate it. And, of course, we'll be back on the True Penny channel, same time, every week, and of course Phoenix 92.5 FM. Bye guys.